All right. So in today's video, or rather stream, right? Um, it's gonna be another SAT live stream, right? Um, so in this stream, one second. In this stream, I'm going to be reacting to this video right here. I'm gonna be reacting to this video right here. Managing time, because that's important, right?
Forget everything.
And then there is SAT roots, prefixes, and suffixes. So continuing, I guess we're gonna be continuing. And then we're gonna do our Khan Academy. Khan Academy stuff, So I think it's time. I think it's time we get started. Just gonna make sure that our desktop audio is getting picked up real quick. Just gonna play the video.
Thing that you think you know about productivity.
Yeah, so
Literally throw it out the door because it's not going to help you here. And then
okay, so yeah, it's working. So what I'm gonna be doing is reacting to the video. Okay. So like the other videos, putting it on 2x or 1.5 or whatever. Not sleep timer. Playback speed, there we go. 2 or 1.5x, alright.
forget everything that you think you know about productivity. Literally throw it out the door because it's not going to help you here. And in fact, I'm going to change your entire mindset around this. We're talking about a time management secret that's completely backwards. The more you slow down, the more time you actually have. Now, I know that sounds completely insane.
Well, I mean, we just put it on 1.5 speed, so we're not really following the advice there. But that's not. I did scroll down the comments and I did see this, right? So I was just gonna give credit to that comment, but yeah, it is funny.
But just hang in there and I'll get into it. Before we do that though, I do want to preface that this is not going to be anything workload. The first crucial shift that you need to have is that you need to slow down to actually speed up. Stop trying to squeeze every second out of the clock unintentionally. And the keyword there is unintentionally. So let's cut the nonsense and dive deep into this so that it will make more sense to you. Firstly, you want to set a clear goal. I know this sounds so easy to say, and a lot of people say the same thing, but what does this actually mean? If you don't have a real set goal, then you're not going to know what destination you're going to go towards, and therefore you're not going to know the journey. For example, if you know you want fried chicken, that's one goal, aka you want the good grades, but you don't know where you're going to get the fried chicken, then you're just going to walk around aimlessly and hoping that the fried chicken shop will be there, but it's never going to be there because it's in the next town over. That's the exact same with your studies right now. You know you want to get good grades, but because you don't have the goal set to get there, you're just wandering around aimlessly, pretending you're studying, but in reality, you're wasting your time. So you want to ditch the useless goals like saying, I'm going to work on my project today. That's going to be pointless.
Fair enough. But where this falls apart, I did see other productivity time management videos. They did say the exact same thing. So, I mean, this isn't unique, but it's definitely crucial in time management. You have to set clear and specific goals.
You want to be specific, that's not going to work. And instead, it's going to set you writing 100 words or writing 500. Give yourself some dopamine hit because you feel like you've done something.
Yeah, so it has to be something like a numeric value, rather than saying just study for a set amount of time, like get 15 problems done or 50 problems, more reasonable, but something like that, whatever's reasonable for what you're doing.
So you feel like you're winning. And second, track the progress of your goal itself. Once you have that, it makes it a lot easier for you to break it down into smaller actions. For example, with the essay before, you can write down the outline first. Afterwards, you're going to write down the draft. And once that's done, you can then revise it. So there's an actionable step each part of the way so that you actually know where you're going and what road or path you're taking to get to your goal. And this focus action was the one that changed everything for me. When I didn't figure this out yet, I was literally all over the place, and it meant that this focus action the way so that you actually going to write down the draft. And once that's done, you can then revise it. So there's an actionable step each part of the way so that you actually know where you're going and what road actions. For example, with the essay before, you can write down the outline first. But they were all falling apart my entire life. For example, if I have a social or an event that evening with the society and we have a meeting in the morning about it, and then I have to come in early in order to set up the event, speaking to teachers, blah, 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 and how I'm going to plan that is to literally schedule my study sessions in between every single one of them. It takes me half an hour to go from home to uni. I'll study in that half an hour. I'll study again in the half hour back. I study during lunch break while I'm eating my food. I'll study during lessons when I know the topic already. Sometimes the content is pretty obvious and therefore I don't need to kind of sit there and listen through it, which means I can study for other subjects during my lecture time. And therefore I save a lot of time already. But all of this is done by saying I'm going to finish one past paper by 2 p.m. I know that at 2 p.m. I have my tutoring session. So between that time, whatever free time I have, I'll be working on my past paper. This honestly makes it a lot less overwhelming for me. So give it a go. Now I'm going to give you a hard truth. Rushing is what's screwing you over.
So yeah, that first part makes sense, right? Or the second part, or whatever. That part makes sense, right? If you have some free time, you're really just doing nothing there. You can study. Obviously, that free time it's fun to just do nothing in, or you had a time at school, you're just relaxing. But it's good to save the breaks for the very end if you can, because that means you got all your work done. You don't have to worry about that during your free time, right? So yeah, getting all your free time at the end is a good idea.
You think faster equals getting more work done, but it's not the case. You don't end up having 6 packs just from doing 100 squats within 5 seconds. Just because you're fast doesn't mean you actually get the muscles quickly. And that's the exact same with studying. Again, same thing. What you get instead is just stress, mistakes, and you end up feeling so miserable because you're like, oh my God, I didn't complete it. I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have done that. I should have done this instead. I should have done that instead. And you just end up spiraling out of control. And instead you worry about it and you lose the time that you could have used to study because you end up worrying so much. When you deliberately slow down, you work smarter. You then become intentional with your time and you make fewer errors and think more clearly. In that case, you get in control. And I want to say this is a trick, but it really isn't. It's just that most people don't do it. Start earlier than you need to. Have what's called as a contingency plan. And this is a plan for when something happens out of your control that you still have enough time to complete whatever studying you have to do, whatever essay you need to do, whatever it is. For example, if it's the Christmas holidays, I don't actually know what my plans are going to be for Christmas most of the times, but I do know that when I go back into university in January, I will have an exam. So that means I will start planning to study from like end of November at least, or like early November, and depending on the subject, how many months, how many content I have to cover. But I try to start as early as possible and then give myself 2 weeks before the actual exam as contingency. This means that if in the holiday season something does come up where I will be going out with my friends, going out with family, going on holiday, whatever it is, I already have 2 weeks planned at the end of it for me to have that in case time, so I still have that time to study, if that makes sense. It also means that I actually push the deadline forwards and I intentionally try to finish all of my studying 2 weeks early. If I do complete that 2 weeks early, then good, I have 2 extra weeks to relax. But if not, I still have the 2 extra weeks to complete my work. You see what I'm getting at here? Like, no matter what, you're still going to win because you've set yourself up for winning. So when that happens, you have less frantic mindset, you're not as scared, and therefore you actually finish more work because you're not thinking about it 24/7. And this one I talked about quite a bit as well, and I talked about it in this schedule video, so have a look at that one. But it's to not ignore the compound effect of doing small study sessions every single day. Instead of doing 15 hours a day, you want to instead do just small 30-minute sessions every single day. This does 2 things. Having the 30-minute sessions more regularly than the one-off cramming sessions means that you are applying your spatial repetition and also your active recall, which will allow you to stick the memory of the subject in your mind for a lot longer. So this means if you have your mocks this time, but then your exams next time and it's going to cover the same topic, you're still going to remember it then. You just need to briefly refresh it, but you'll still remember the majority of the content because you've done the correct techniques to make it stick in your brain. So when that happens, you actually have the compound effect of all of the things that you're learning accumulating with one another.
Although I will say that this kind of more of a studying method, but yeah, that makes sense completely, right? You're spacing out your study session. I mean, again, it depends on what works for you. Another thing that works is using actually practicing it. Like if you're just taking notes, like I said last stream, right? If you're taking notes, it's good, but just reviewing the notes, that's passive, right? You need to be actively looking at flashcards, doing problems. That's a real way you learn.
And this creates a momentum like a snowball literally rolling down a hill. Real growth comes from working smarter, consistently, and letting the process handle the rest. Now, sidetracking a little bit, this is a bit relevant to it. Have you ever heard of task paralysis? Now, this is very common with those of you who have ADHD. My boyfriend has this. My boyfriend was recently diagnosed with ADHD, and therefore I got this idea of talking about this because it seems quite relevant to time management. If you have ADHD or you're neurodivergent, it's a bit more difficult for you to manage tasks as compared to other people. So what I do, or what my boyfriend does specifically, is to do simple tricks in order to break it. Firstly, we do study crawls together, or we move to open spaces where we work in cafes, where we study in cafes. And this is purely because your body needs a reset from your normal day-to-day lives. Once you start doing something, like for example, if you start studying in a study room, or if you start studying in bed, your brain just kind of gets used to it. And when your brain gets used to it, it gets bored. So what you need to do is to consistently switch between places. And this is what me and my friends did during my A-levels as well. We would switch between 4 cafes every single day in order for us to not get bored of one and make sure that our brains are still there in a way. Secondly, body doubling. By having somebody there studying with you, it feels a lot easier for you to study. So when I was studying by myself, if I didn't have anyone to study with me, I would watch a study with me on YouTube in order to feel that as if someone's studying with me. They don't even have to be working at the same thing as you. Just having their presence there will help you to actually work better. I think it's all about the accountability at that point because you're constantly thinking like, oh my God, I don't want to stop studying because then they're going to judge me, etc., etc. Like I definitely feel that all the time whenever I'm like studying in a cafe. And thirdly, you want to use the reward system. Now it really depends on the type of person that you are. For my boyfriend, for example, he loves tech. So if he wants a new technology, he would have have to complete a certain amount of work for himself in order for him to be able to get that, basically. So he sets himself like a big reward. But obviously, that's not always feasible. So it's better to set yourself some small wins and therefore some small rewards as well. Maybe a treat here and there. But again, if you have ADHD and you're neurodivergent, a lot of the times it might be that you just get bored of that small rewards. So you have to mix and match it as you go along and see what works for you. I can't say the same for everyone because ADHD and neurodivergence is very much so dependent on each person, and it's
Yeah, that is good. Like switching up your study environment, it can be definitely rewarding. Like sometimes studying in a car, it's like in a cafe or something, that can be good. And having people around, those are definitely things that can help you out.
very much so on a scale, but positive reinforcement will motivate your brain to keep going. The next thing you need to do to tackle your time management issues is going to be to eliminate distractions. Now, this seems so obvious. Like if you are distracted by your phone, then put your phone in another room. Or what I do is I film myself studying and then I put it onto TikTok or I go on TikTok live stream. But obviously you don't have to do that. Literally just having your phone up on the camera as if you are filming yourself is good enough. And the reason
I mean, it's kind of what I'm doing right now.
for that is because every time I reach for my phone and I want to use it, I see myself doing it. And because I see myself doing it, I get like shocked and I stop doing it. So the practical trick is to not fight them, but instead to manage them. You can even have like a focus session set on your phone, which blocks off the other apps that you're not allowed to use. So for me, I have work, which will turn off hours, for example, doom scrolling. And if you don't want to use that, you can also negotiate with yourself on this. So tell yourself, okay, I'm going to watch TikTok for 5 minutes, but then after that, I have to do a 20-minute study session, something like that. Now, one last trick that
That's a good idea. I haven't. There's an app I use. Okay, I'm not gonna leak it because I'm not. It's just 0 viewers. It's 0 like. But yeah, there's an app that basically you can probably find many of these types of apps that take a certain time, like you can set like 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. or anything like that, and yeah, you can set like 30-minute work session, 10-minute break, and you take your 10-minute break when you open an app, you block, and it said take a 10-minute break. You can click on 10-minute break, and then it'll give you a 10-minute break. After that, it'll shut down the specific apps you say not to for 30 minutes or 50 minutes or whatever you said at. And that's kind of how it works. So yeah, there's
I want to tell you is to delegate wherever possible. But I study alone. How do I delegate it to someone? Delegating here means lightening your mental load by using tools and systems. Firstly, delegating to an app. Instead of trying to force your brain to have every single information out there, why not use a task manager like Notion, Todoist, Motion? And so for me, it would be like what I said with my phone before. When I set it to work, every time I go on a social media app, it sets a timer, and therefore that's one form of automation.
I kind of use a checklist or Google Docs for that.
You can also delegate to software, so using voice to text for drafting, help that you need in order to take off a lot of the pressure from yourself. One last thing, your productivity will be slow at first. Trust me on.
Or just use big GPT. Just offload everything to GPT. That's a strat. Just if you have something as long as it's not personally identifiable, consult with GPT. It's just kind of good to do that. Or any AI. I'm just saying GPT in this instance, but whatever works.
This, I don't want you to then come off of this video, try it for one day, and then completely give up, because it's not going to be fixed within a day. It's going to take some time, but you will get there. The best systems are the ones that works perfectly for you, and you customize it for yourself. Yes, all the things that I've done here are based on my experience and therefore have worked for me, but not every single thing I say here right now may have worked for you as well. Try it out and see if they work. If they don't, revise and adjust accordingly. So maybe instead of you using like...
Alright, so I'm gonna end there, and that's a good ending, because ultimately, all this stuff is if it works for you. It could work for someone, not work for someone, so just keep looking and find something to manage your time, because that's an important skill to have. Alright, so we are back at it. With these SAT prefixes and suffixes, and unlike the other one where we kind of didn't revise on older ones and there was like thousands of them, so it was kind of hard to do that that word thing. This is not like that. This has only 90 and we know the ones we did. So let's go ahead and start. Let's track our progress. Okay. A is going to be like not without, yeah. Actually, we're not gonna track our progress because, yeah, okay. And is going to be not without as well. These ones kind of repeat. Anta is gonna be before. I mean, okay, I'll have to remember that. That means before. This also means before. Bene means good, beneficial, good as well. Yeah. Ho means together or with, I guess. Yeah, together. Com also means together. Con also, I guess, means together. Dis means like, I guess, disproportionate. So not proportionate, or like varied, I guess. Yeah, not a part way. Yeah, that makes sense. So I guess a way you could look at these word roots is see the words that are in it. So again, if it has a word with this and then something else, right? And you forgot what this means, just do disproportionate. What does proportionate mean, and what's the definition when this is added to it? So proportionate means it's something that's proportionate, like a square. When you look at a square, that's pretty proportionate. But when you add this to it, it's disproportionate. It's not proportionate. So you can kind of estimate what it means. Diff, I guess, also like different, not. Yeah, not a part way. Not a part away. Okay. X means like away, kind of like separated. Yeah, out of. It's just not the same. E is also the same. Uh, True, I don't really know. Oh, make do. So fac means make or do. Fic also means make do. Okay. Fect, I guess, also means make do. Okay. Gen means generate. Generator. So it's like something that gens or something that generates. Create, birth. Yeah, I guess birth class kin. Grad, I guess, similar. Oh, grad means step. That makes sense. Like graduation. It's kind of, I don't know exactly what. Kind of like a step to your future. I don't know. Gress, I guess, also step. Okay. In means in means inside. I don't know. Okay. In means not. Okay. I guess this also means not. It'll also not. Im also not. Okay. Ear also. Inter, between. Loku. What does that mean? Loku. Sounds like logic. So we're gonna go with logical. Okay, so it's related to logic, right? It's thought. It's in the same ballpark. But loku means speech thought. Log also means speech thought. Log also means speech thought. Magnanimous. I guess like magnified. Great. Yeah, magnified, great, similar things. Also great. Also great. Massive. Great mass. I don't know. Max also means it's full. Fully. Yeah, great. Miss means like mistake. It's like bad. Negative. Yeah, bad. Because if you say take, it's just a take on something. But if you say mistake, it's a wrong take or bad take. So yeah, wrong or bad. It also works. So similar to that. National. Rational. So it's kind of like nat is kind of like related to a country or something like that. Yeah. Or born. Also means born. Also means born. Nom. Nom. Nominal is a word, I don't know what it means. So yeah, name, okay. Nominal name. OB. Okay, so I guess we're gonna go about 50 and then stop here. OB is gonna be obstruct. Construct versus obstruct. Right? When you see those two different words, you can kind of assume that ob means kind of like hinder versus construct means like together versus ob means kind of separate or against. Yeah, you're kind of preventing, right? Path means like it's pathology, the study of disease. Oh, Suffer, yeah. Disease, suffer. See, there's similar things. Pre means like kind of before. Yeah. Rog. I don't ask, okay. It's interrogatives, I don't really know what it means, but again, script means right, scribbling, right? Yeah. Script means right, I guess, as well. Scrib also same. Said, I get sedative, something that puts you to sleep. Sit, okay. I guess also sit. Sick food. Order. Follow, okay. Similar things, but sequence type thing, also means follow. Okay, so we're gonna stop there, stop at 50. We're gonna finish this part of math, right? And then we're gonna go on to SAT reading. Okay, after this, we're gonna try to finish SAT reading, but ultimately, our stopping time is going to be. I don't think I can. I don't really think I can go for too long. About 7:20, right? 7:20, I'm gonna stop. Okay, 7:20. So 18 minutes left on stream. We got 18 minutes left on stream. Nobody wants to study today. Pretty reasonable. A piece of wood has a mass of 30. Has a mass of 30 grams. And a volume of 40 cubic centimeters. A second piece of wood has the same density and a volume of 240 centimeters cubed. What is the mass of the second piece of wood? A piece of wood has a mass of 30 grams and a volume of 40 cubic centimeters. A second piece of wood has the same density and a volume of 240 cm cubed. What is the mass in grams of the second piece of wood? Okay. I don't know what I'm saying. This. Okay. Obviously, we need to figure out the density first, right? Because density is a part of the second equation type of thing. 30 grams of volume. So G over cm. So it's 30 over 40, which is 3/4 G over cm cubed. So is 3/4 is the density. So you want the mass. So if you multiply 240 times the density, that's going to cancel out cm cubed, and we're just going to get grams. So what are we left with? Multiply by 240, and we get 180. There we go. What is the value of x in the figure? What is the value of x in the figure? So what can we see about this? Is a parallelogram. Okay, so these are two separate triangles. Oh, it's been a while since I took geometry. I need to brush up genuinely on geometry, but let's try and do this, right? This is 111. I think on a parallelogram, it's gonna be this is the same as this, and this is the same as this type thing, and this is the same as this. So this is 111. We can fill that out. This is 31. And we have two missing angles we know are the same. So we can figure that out by interior angles of a quadrilateral is what? Interior angle of a quadrilateral. I think it's gonna be 360. I think it's gotta be 360, but a way we can check that, right, is 62 plus 222 is 284. So it's reasonable to say 360 is going to be the angle, because if you divide, okay, so 360, okay, I think it's 360, right? 360 minus this over 2. It's going to be 38. Um, I mean, huh. Yeah, I kind of forgot interior angles. I still think the sum of interior is 360, right? There's a square. Oh, right, I forgot. Just look at a square, right? And it's just 90, 90, 90, 90. So we can say these are 38. These are 38. Is this a quadrilateral here? Because 360 minus whatever we have here, and then that's a combined, and then you divide that by 2. We get the answer. So x has gotta be 38. Again, we have to be quicker on these, and I still don't know if I'm accurate. We got it. Okay. Which of the following is equivalent to a given expression? Which of the following is equivalent? C is not equal to D, which means otherwise the bottoms would be 0, and that would mean the entire expression is invalid. Invalid. So a really easy way to test this out, you don't gotta do advanced math. Just gotta say a plus b over c minus d. Right? We have decimals for a reason. It's allowed. A plus b over d minus c. So where c doesn't equal d, so just set it at something like 3. Let's see how it changes. It's not equal to 0. It's equal to 0 at one point, but these expressions aren't equal. So it's not going to be that. It's not going to be that. It's going to go with strike through, but yeah, it's not going to be that answer. Let's go with the second option. 2b over c minus d. Let's change this value. And again, there's no a in it, so how can it be true? It is affected by a. Let's look at the other option. 2a plus b over c minus d. Well, this is the exact same, so it seems right. 2a plus 2 is the same thing, but what if we do 2c plus 2d? Again, these are different, so it's just going to be c. So we narrowed down our options, picking c. What is an equivalent form, right? What is an equivalent form in which the zeros appear as constants or coefficients? Constants or coefficients. An equivalent form where the zeros, right, the roots appear as constants, which is here, or coefficient. Okay, so I'm not 100% sure what they mean, or coefficients. I guess they mean like it's not in this form, so I'm pretty sure this is incorrect. This is the right form, but the zeros don't appear in this, right? So this is not an equivalent form in which the zeros appear. Huh. It's a bit weird because the 0 does appear. So X minus 6. Oh, but there's minus 9, which means it's not true. Okay, so in this case, we need to look through these scenarios and see what's right. So all we gotta do, all we gotta do is just same as the other one. You don't need to get your fancy math out. Just, or any type of fancy, any type of algebra out. Just literally plug and shove. A 1 year old could probably, okay, 1 year old couldn't, but like 5 year old could probably do this if they try, if you gave them these instructions. So 5 year old can do it, you probably can, you know. And look at this. Perfect. It's gonna be x minus 9, x minus 3. We're not even gonna check the other answers because it's the right answer. And final one. Final one. Again, we're leaving at 7:20. That's something I have to go. So we have 8 more minutes. 8 more minutes on the stream. 8 more minutes. All right, 8 more minutes to stream. The 4-dot plot, so the student height distributions of 4 different 11th grade math classes. Where is the mean greater than the median? Where is the mean greater than the median? So for this, you could plug it in here, but it's just so tedious that why would you do this? Why would you do this in Desmos? Just look at this logically. In this one, the mean is the average, like, of everything. So the average of every single point is probably going to be this middle one right here. It's going to be because it's symmetrical. So the mean is going to be 70. And the median's also going to be 70, I think. So it's not going to be different. Here it's just all the same. So it's symmetrical, so I don't think it's gonna. This one's also symmetrical, so I think the mean and median are the same. I'm not 100% sure, but I think so because the average one is gonna be this one, and the average one's also gonna be this one. But this one is where it gets interesting because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 3 is gonna be the median. But let's look at the mean, right? But this is gonna be it because the other answers aren't true. So yeah. So last time we really did not do so well. So kind of what went down. We got like 4 wrong or something, or like 6 wrong or something. I'm not sure. Yeah, 6 wrong. Okay, 24 out of 30. It could be a lot better. Fix that next time. And we got 6 more minutes. 6 more minutes on stream. And let's just go, let's go with this. So um top red been mine for thousands. All right, thousands of years, but okay, blah blah blah. You know what? I don't want to hear this yap. Genuinely, it's just straight yap. Which choice effectively uses the data to complete the example? So who did what? Copper production rose significantly from 1899 to 1909 for all three. Is that true? I think this is true. It didn't slow. Montana, Arizona. I think this is true, so we're just gonna check it off because it's just blatantly true. What conforms to the conventions of standard English? Okay, there's a Mexican biologist, blah blah blah. Relate to endophytic fungi that lives inside a host plant. By researching, okay, so what we need to see here, do these stand by. You need a comma space for this without fanboys. With fanboys, you need comma space to do two sentences. But can this sentences stand alone is the question. And this is probably going to be the answer. By researching this, she found that her prototypes can make them viable alternatives. So this is a good sentence. Mexican biologist led a review, lived inside a host plant. Let a review of the scientific literature related to endophytic fungi. So these are two separate sentences. So none of these are viable sentence joiners. Semicolon or comma space fanboy, right? So this is the only choice. Okay, so again, we want to skip the app. You do not want to get hung up on this at first. First step is gotta be to read our question. Which choice? People say to highlight stuff like take your highlighter, highlight this, but I find that not be useful in my opinion. You can do that if you want, but I'm just saying. Which choice uses data from the graph to complete the text? You're saying now we gotta go back in here and say, okay, so the Ramayana, composed of Sanskrit, is one of the most influential epics in world literature. It's compared to Iliad and Odyssey, the classical Greek epics that depict Trojan War. All three epics have themes and feature a range of divine and human character. However, the Ramayana blank is a lot longer. Is definitely a lot longer. That's the main thing you can find out. Yeah, it's a lot longer, about 24K lines. Whereas the Iliad and Odyssey is 16K and 12K. Iliad 16K. Yeah, this 12K. Yeah, this is true. And yeah, compared to the Iliad and Odyssey. So we're comparing it to these two. So this doesn't make sense. This doesn't really make sense. This doesn't make sense. So A is the only one that makes any sort of sense. So we gotta go with that. Gotta go with that. During the Renaissance, artists like Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo revolutionized the world of art with their innovative techniques. Okay, why are we going there? Which choice completes the text with the most logical transition? What is the most logical transition? Let's look at this. Which brought unprecedented accuracy and depth to their works, period. Alright, so during the Renaissance, artists revolutionized the world of art with their techniques, right? These two people and others, I guess, do paintbrush stuff. And they knew paintbrush. It's a new paintbrush. So, what does this mean? Innovative techniques. And then now you're going with in the field of science, you're comparing it to in the field of science, they transformed it with their pioneering methods. So you're saying that these people do this, and you need a connector. You need something to connect these two. And then you're saying people in lab coats, right? People in lab coats do lab coat stuff. Do lab coat stuff. So you're comparing these people with their new stuff. New stuff. That's horrible. New stuff, right? So when you compare it, is similarly. Right? It's similar, you know? And we reach time, and we're on our fifth, so I'll just complete this. And then we are done with the stream. So the film industry debuted Smell-o-vision. Theaters were fitted with specialized vents that emitted odors in a movie. Okay, so to figure out what goes here, we need to read it. Is it an independent clause, dependent clause? That's what makes sense. Movie and such are the two words, so we're gonna read it like it's a complete sentence. Theaters were fitted with, okay, again, another thing you can figure out, if you have a period and a semicolon, these aren't going to be the answers because they do the exact same thing. So whenever you see a period and semicolon, just, these two aren't the same answer. It's like saying good and beneficial. They're the exact same thing. So why would you, unless it's talking about connotations. So if it's those two, it's not those two because they're basically the same thing. Okay, so theaters were fitted with specialized vent that emitted odors at specific points in a movie. Period. That makes sense. Such as the scent of roses. So this is not a clause that it can't stand as a sentence. So theater fitted in a movie such as the scent of roses. So you need a comma there. You can't just do movies such as the scent. So comma is the one that works. So let me click that. And with that, if you've been tuning in, which it's fine, but it's part of the process. But you know, movie such. This is the best choice, right? The comma separates. So we're gonna continue next time with the same format. I don't know if I want to, or if I um feel like it. I don't know. I might change up the roots, prefix, and suffixes to something that's better and more active. Uh, to do it, to learn vocabulary. This is kind of a mediocre way to do it, and I'll continue with these for testing because it seems reasonable enough. So with that, we are done with today's stream, and if you stay